Nature does not understand the confused signal. Hence, when it comes to japa, we do japa on just one. Because through one doorway only you enter into a hall. Let's say divinity is a large hall, huge temple. Let's say that's the divinity, the God. There are many doors to enter this temple, this big hall. Can you enter this temple, this hall, from all the doors simultaneously? No, you cannot. That's what we call door or doorway. You can only enter through one doorway. Otherwise, you'll step into one doorway, come back, you'll step into another door, come back, you'll step into the third door, come back. And eventually, you'll not be able to enter into the temple. You understand what I'm saying?
Gurudev, today's first question has come from Atul Kumarji. He's asking, whom should we truly love, the body or the divine soul? When our parents leave this world, their soul departs from their bodies. After their passing, how do we express love, devotion, and gratitude to them? Some say departed ones should not be worshipped or even kept as photos at home, yet our minds still recognize their image. How should we relate to them once they are no longer in their physical bodies?
I think the question begins from what should we truly love, the body or the soul, which means the form or the formless. So from a spiritual point of view, anything that is transitionary, that keeps changing, we call that as unreal. Unreal. I'm not saying beautiful or not beautiful, worshipable or not worshipable, but unreal. So this piece that we call body is in transition all the time. There was a time when you looked different. Today you look different. After a few years from now you look different. So this body keeps changing. Anything that changes is transitionary and hence not real. How can you love the non-real? But within the body there is something that never changes. This sense that you call I, the realization that yes, I am breathing, alive, seeing, sensing. This sense that you have, this sense never changes. And this sense is, that's the reason we call this sense of I amness as the only reality. Now, the question is, if you love the unreal, yes, you can love the unreal. You can love this, and everything is unreal because everything is changing. This cup that I have is unreal. There was a time when it was just part of the clay. Before that, it was just part of the soil. It was part of nature. Then somebody gave it a shape, a form, a body. After some time, this body of this cup will deteriorate and it will go back to nature. All its essential gunas, constituents, will merge back at the source from where it came from. The source, the soil from which it came from. It will merge back into the source. This shape will not remain forever. Now, can you love that which is not real? Yes, you can love that. I can love my cup a lot, dearly. I can get attached to this cup. But the problem is when this cup breaks, it will break my heart. You follow what I'm saying? Because the nature of the cup is it's non-permanent. It's changing. So the wise say, yes, you can love the cup also. But beyond the cup, you should look at, identify, connect to the real cupness, which is the soil, which is the nature from which it came from, which is the panch tattvas that it came from. So in human body's context, I often say there's a beautiful line in a song that I heard. I'll say it in Hindi and then I'll translate. It says, मुझ में जो कुछ अच्छा है सब उसका है, मेरा जितना चर्चा है सब उसका है. Loosely, if I translate it into English, it says that whatever you find good in me is basically his reflection, the divine's reflection. When you love me, you don't really love me. You love the reflection of the divine that you see through this being. You follow what I'm saying? When you love your parents, when you love your friends, when you love your dear ones, actually you're never loving the body. You never. It's an illusion that you feel you're loving the body. You're loving a certain light that is emanating from this body. Sometimes you say, I love your eyes. Sometimes you say, I love your words. What are you really loving? Have you ever investigated? When you say you love somebody's eyes, yes, you could just love the form of the face or the eyes, just the form. But the challenge is the form will change with time. Today the body looks this way, tomorrow body will look in a different way. So the form will change, and then it will bring you heartache. It will break your heart if you just love the form. And someday the forms will break. The forms will disintegrate. In essentiality, when you love somebody, be it your parents, your beloved, your friends, your family, what you're loving in a particular person is the gunas, attributes. Somebody's voice is very sweet. That's an attribute. Now, what is fueling this attribute in this person is the divine light, the source. What I'm today speaking, this Vani, these words that you are hearing, are not the words that belong to this body. Please understand. Some people say that when we are in your presence, all our questions disappear. What are you loving in the presence? Not this body. Something is emanating through this body, using the mechanics of this body. So right now, the speech is emanating. You're hearing the speech from this body. But what is the source of that speech? The same divine light that's there in you also. That's the source of this speech. That divine light is emanating right now through this being as speech. Sometime the divine light will emanate from this being as presence, as touch, as any other attribute. So deep down, you're always loving that light that is emanating through different gunas of the body. You understand what I'm saying? So if you investigate enough, then you will actually get to a point where you will realize that body is just a medium, but through the medium something larger is emanating, and that's what you're loving. You're never loving the body, and that's what we call true love. But the normal love that we experience, because of which we also experience a lot of suffering, is the love which is mixed with a lot of attachment to the form. And any change in the form brings suffering. That's number one. Very important to really know and understand what is it that you really love in somebody. Learn to see beyond the form what's emanating through the form. Number one. Number two, when I'm saying this, am I rejecting the form? Absolutely not. The form is also beautiful. But you don't hold on to the form, because form is transitionary in nature. It's not permanent. It will change, it will disintegrate, it will dissolve. Just a matter of time, kala. So if you get attached, identified with the form, it will bring a lot of suffering. So how do we then treat the form? the form with absolute respect, devotion, worship as a gift that we have received from nature. So the form is beautiful. You decorate the form, you worship the form, you respect the form, but you don't get identified or attached with the form. So that's number 2. Number 3, in case of our parents, now they have departed. How should we connect with them? What has departed? What is it that you're not able to see anymore? Is just the form. But that which was emanating through the form, let's call it soul, still exists. Still exists in some form, not in the form that you used to identify. You understand what I'm saying? It still exists in some other dimension, in some other form. Now, if that's the case, if that's true, that only this form has disintegrated, but the source is still existing in some other form, some other dimension, then through my inner intention, through my inner prayerfulness, through my inner presence, I can talk to the form. I can talk to that being. Let's use the word being here so that we don't get confused. Through my inner prayer, through my inner intention, I can still connect, communicate to the being which is not holding the same form as it used to be. We call this prayerfulness. In utmost deeper prayer, you communicate whatever you feel to communicate with that being who does not hold the same form as it used to before. Because the being still exists beyond the form, as we just understood. The form is just an outer appearance. Inside the form, there is a light emanating. And then that light is also connected to the source of light. It's a connection that's emanating. We call it Jivatma, or let's say soul. Right? Now, next part you inquired is, we should not keep their remembrance and their images at home. Who said? And who says these things? And even if people say these things, why do you believe? Because form was the representation of their presence. Yes, the form is gone, but still the remembrance of the form, the beautiful form that they had once, to me is beautiful. And on the same principles, we created forms and images of our gods. We kept them in our temples. We keep them in our homes. Why? Because the form is the representation of that divinity. So we pray to that Shiva, to that Krishna, to that Rama. Through the form, it is very easy for us to connect to the divinity. Same is with parents. You love your parents for what they did to you, for what they were, for the beingness you love them, for the gunas, for the attributes, for the gifts that they gave you. You love them. And if that is so, there is no harm in keeping their image at home in the most respectful, worshipable way. And look at that image. And when you look at that image, you look at two things. And this is important. Number one, you remember and you remind yourself that you too are a form, and forms do not stay forever. Like this form is gone, one day your form will also go. So you don't attach to this. So you learn the practice of non-attachment to the form. And two, when you look at the photo, through the form you connect to the beingness, that they are still in the being space, in the soul space, let's call it. They still exist. And through the form, through the photo, through the image, you connect to that. It's a beautiful representation. It's not real, but it's a beautiful representation. Correct? If you look at it that way, I don't see there's any problem or any challenge. And why should not worship the form? Why should you not remember or keep the image at home? If they are in your memory, if they are in your DNA, if they are in your cellular memory, even biologically they are with you. The DNA that you're carrying is their DNA that you're carrying. It's just their form has disappeared, but their presence has not disappeared. They still live in you as your DNA. They still live in you as your memory. They still live in reality as the soul being in some dimension. Nothing is lost, only the form is disappeared. It's because we get attached to the forms. We feel the pain and the suffering when the forms are not there anymore. But the representation of their form in the form of photo is beautiful. It should be there with you, so that through that image you are able to, as I said, remember the finality of the form and the grace that you received from them and you continue to receive from them. Let me repeat. The grace that you received from them in the form of this body that you get, and the grace and Ashirvad that you continue to receive from them in ways that you cannot, that are beyond the five sense perceptions. Right? And through the deepest inner prayerfulness, you talk to them, you communicate with them, you relate with them, and you send out your best prayers and best wishes for their journey ahead. Because it's a journey, it's not a full stop. Death is not a full stop. It's the continuation of the journey, but the imagery has changed. The appearance has changed. That's the only thing. So keep them in your heart. Keep their photos as remembrance, as reminders, as a way or a medium to keep connecting to them as and when your heart feels so. Yeah. So that's how we should love the attributes, the being of the being, and may not necessarily just get attached to the form, while respecting, worshipping, valuing the form till the time the form exists. Hope it helps. Thank you.
Our second question is from Tanudeep Kaurji from Chandigarh. She's asking, why is it said that one should do japa of only one deity? Some days I feel drawn to Krishna, some days to Ma Durga, and other times to Shiva. Just as in a family one has a relationship with father, mother, siblings, isn't the essence ultimately the same? What happens if a person worships multiple deities?
There is no problem in worshipping multiple deities, number one. And in fact, that is the reason, if you see in the Indian tradition, we've attributed every day to a different deity. So there are people on Monday, they will worship Shiva. On Tuesday, then they will worship Hanumanji, and so on and so forth. Correct? Why did we create a culture like that? Because we said every day you must remember the divinity. Ultimately, you need to remember and connect to the source. So every day we attribute it to a different deity, different attributes of the divine. Every deity is different attributes of the same divine. And people do that all across the Eastern culture, I see. There is no conflict. When you worship different deities, there is absolutely no conflict. But you asked about japa. Now we are entering into a different territory altogether. Japa on the name or the form or the attribute of a certain deity, now that's a different world we are entering into. There we cannot confuse. There we cannot bring multiplicity, because please understand now this. Any japa, let's say Ram, Ram, Ram. Now I'm doing japa on the name of Lord Rama, number one. Number two, every word of the japa, let's say in this case, the word Rama, has two deep components. Number one, the vibration of the word itself, Rama. There's a certain vibration. It originates from certain chakras in your system. The dhwani, the nada, the sound of that. One component. The vibrational component of the name, mantra that you're chanting, you're doing japa on. Number one. Number two, when I do japa on, let's say Ram, Ram, in my inner screen of the mind, either the image of the form of Rama or the attributes that I relate to the word Rama are appearing. Please understand this carefully. Vibration of the word on which you're doing japa, which is chanting, and the imagery or the attributes that come in your memory, in your chetana, in your consciousness, when you're doing the japa on that word. Now it's important, because when you're doing this, the chant or the japa is basically a doorway to those attributes, to that divine form. It's a doorway. What it really does, it brings your entire consciousness, the scattered mind, to one-pointedness. When you're doing chanting or japa, it collects your scattered mind on one-pointedness, which is very important for any form of meditation. So you collect your chetana, your consciousness and your scattered thoughts to one bindu, one dot of that name on which you're performing this chanting or japa. Now the japa has its own vibrational field. Om Namah Shivaya has a different field of vibration. Rama, Rama, different field of vibration. Because each one of them, it will open different doors for you. And then when I say Om Namah Shivaya, I'm invoking some different gunas or attributes. And when I'm chanting Ram, I'm invoking some other attributes. These are different doors. Now, the complexity here, or the question that you ask. If you try to open multiple doors at the same time, so morning you're doing one japa, evening you're doing another japa, tomorrow you're doing third japa, now the system is getting absolutely confused. The vibrational fields are getting absolutely confused. Which door to open? You understand what I'm saying? The whole system inwardly and the whole signaling that you're giving to the cosmos, there's a whole confused signal that you are emanating. Problem. Nature does not understand the confused signal. Hence, when it comes to japa, we do japa on just one. Because through one doorway only you enter into a hall. Let's say divinity is a large hall, huge temple. Let's say that's the divinity, the God. There are many doors to enter this temple, this big hall. Can you enter this temple, this hall, from all the doors simultaneously? No, you cannot. That's what we call door or doorway. You can only enter through one doorway. Otherwise, you'll step into one doorway, come back, you'll step into another door, come back, you'll step into the third door, come back. And eventually, you'll not be able to enter into the temple. You understand what I'm saying? Worshipping different deities is a different matter altogether. We're talking about japa, which is now a process. It's a kriya, it's a technique. You're invoking now something. You're playing with the field of vibrations now. It's a different mechanics now. So there we recommend that you do japa on just one deity. one name, one form, or attributes related to one form. And you do that for a period of time. And when you do that, the door slowly starts to open up. And the japa starts to manifest or flower itself. If you, let's say, continue to do japa on Krishna, Krishna, you will in some days or months or weeks or months or years, depending on, how ready your system is becoming, you will start to experience the attributes of Krishna appearing in your being, the remembrance of Krishna appearing in your being, and attributes of Krishna will start to manifest. That is how the japa, the chanting, the mantra starts to open up. This is a deep science, right? So from bringing the mind to one-pointedness, that's the initial part of the japa, to invoking that form, invoking that deity, invoking the attributes of that deity, invoking the vibrational field of that deity. These are deeper aspects of japa. So there we don't bring confusion. We go with one. The example that you used. In a family you have, siblings and parents and all people there. You love them all. Yes, you love them all. Similarly, I love Shiva, I love Krishna, I love Hanuman, I love Rama, I love Devi. You love all. But even in the family, if you see, there's one person you're most tuned to. And all your secrets you don't share with everybody in the family. You share it with that one person. It could be you ask anybody, your own experience. Some people would be very close to their father. They'll share their secrets with him. Some people will be very close to their mother. They'll share their secrets with the mother or their sibling. If there are 5 siblings in the house, which does not happen these days, but still if there are 5 siblings in the house, they'll be very close to this one particular sibling with whom they will share all their secrets, not with everybody. Correct? While you love everybody in the parivar, in the family, but when it comes to having that bond of sharing deepest secrets, you just share it with that one being. That's the difference between worshipping all the deities, no conflict, but doing japa, which is an intimate process. You do that with just one sibling, the sharing of the secrets, because it's an intimate connection you feel with that sibling or that parent. Japa, general worshipping of the deity, is like expanded overall love. Beautiful. Japa is now you're entering into intimate connection with a particular deity. Correct? Because that's the doorway. That's how it works. So you can love all, but when it comes to deepest connection of sharing your secrets, you choose one. Third thing on this, just to remove all myths and confusion from this. It can happen that for a few months you're doing japa on one. But after some time you feel not connected to that form or that name or that chant anymore. Something in you is shifting. And a different deity, different name, different form is appearing in your consciousness. It is absolutely fine. But there is a way. If let's say I'm doing japa on a Rama. For 3 years I've done japa on Rama, beautiful. But now in my inner consciousness, let's say Shiva is appearing now. So I bow down to Rama and say, this name that I've been chanting, the name of the greatest Lord, Rama, it has given me immense joy and depth. And now I feel you are sending me to Shiva. I can see your play now. You are pushing me to Shiva now. Maybe there is something I need to learn from Shiva. Maybe I need to be with Shiva more. I do not know. But I believe you are doing that, O Rama. And hence, with your permission, I enter into the doorway of Shiva now. You understand what we're saying? Anything that has served you, you pay deepest reverence and respect to that. And you take permission from that to move into the next door. You just don't drop it saying that, oh, it's not working. Because it has served. It has done something in your consciousness. It was not a waste. It has contributed. It has opened your consciousness in some ways. Maybe you're able to see, maybe you're not able to see. It's like when you build a house, after some point you can't even see the foundation, but a lot of work has gone in the foundation. So maybe the japa of Rama has built a strong foundation which you are not able to see. Feel it and know it in your heart. And then bow down in reverence to that deity, to that form, to that being, to that name, to that chant. Take permission and move into the next. And last bit on this. The matters of japa and chantings are best done with the guidance of a guru. When you pick up your own mantra just like that, well, it is all right to do it, but it's not recommended. Because you don't know what is really needed for your field of vibration, what will match with your field of vibration. Just because of some outer influence, people tend to pick up things that are not mapping with their own field. See, this is a whole process of mapping. You must only do the sadhana that maps with your field. Correct? So these, in the ancient times, the YouTube guru was not available. The Google guru was not available. The Chat GPT guru was not available. So you would just not pick up randomly. You would go to somebody who's realized, and you will take permission and guidance from that somebody to initiate you into a mantra or a japa. And we use this term, initiate you. These are deeper matters. These are not something that you just pick, play with it, and these are deeper matters. But what I shared with you are some of the essentials when you enter into these things. Hope it will help you. Thank you.
We have a question from Manorama Ji. She's asking, what is the difference between soul, consciousness, and awareness?
Intellectually, please do not try to understand this. And the reason for that is, in different spiritual literatures or shastras, different words are used for the same thing. In some, people will use the word soul. In some, people will use the word jivatma. In some Western literature, people will use the word consciousness. Right? So do not get intellectually interested in that. Right? At the base level, what you need to really know and understand that, as I said earlier, this is a form made out of panchatattvas, 5 elements, which keeps changing. Behind this form, there's something that never changes. We call it chetana or consciousness, or one can call it soul, or one can call it jivatma. Correct? 2 components here. Then the third thing is awareness. Now, what is awareness? Very difficult to define these things into words, by the way. In many traditions and literature, you will also see awareness is being used as consciousness, or consciousness has been used as awareness. Correct? All words, please come to the basics. And the basics are Shiva and Shakti. Shiva is what we call the consciousness that is unchanging. The one that is sitting in you, witnesses everything, never interferes in anything. And this is also, one can call, absolute awareness, absolute awakening. This Shiva in you is always awake. Even when you go to deep sleep in the night, this Shiva Tattva in you, this consciousness, this awakening, this awareness in you is always awake. It keeps watching you even when you are in deep sleep. And that is the reason when you wake up in the morning, you're able to announce that I slept like a baby in deep sleep. If you slept like a baby when all your cognition was off, who recorded and watched that you were in deep sleep? There was something awake in you, and that something awake is what we call consciousness or Shiva Tattva. One principle: non-moving, non-interfering, non-doing, just there all the time, from the time the body takes birth to the time the body disappears. It was there even before that, it will be there even after that, this Shiva Tattva. The other component is Prakriti, Shakti, which brings the 5 elements together, Panch Tattvas together, and give Rupa, form, to this Shiva, this consciousness. So consciousness is then wrapped with this form by Prakriti. So at the core is non-moving, non-interfering, non-changing consciousness. I call it Shiva. And this is wrapped with Prakriti, which is constantly moving, changing, transforming. This is the play between Shiva and Shakti. This Prakriti keeps moving. Because this Prakriti keeps moving, one gets identified with this Prakriti. Because this Shiva Tattva is very static, non-dynamic, always present, like space that's holding this entire earth together, like space that's holding all the planets together, this deep, dark, non-moving space. All planets, all stars are placed in this space. The space, which we call, let's say, cosmos. Now, different words, don't get confused with the word. This space, this Shiva Tattva is holding all the galaxies and everything together. But this space in itself is not moving, non-dynamic, it's static, it's there. And all the planets, including Earth, are play of the Prakriti. They keep changing, moving, shrinking, expanding, coming in existence, disappearing in black holes. All that play is always happening. That's the play of Prakriti. These are just 2 elements here. Now, what you called awareness is becoming aware to these 2 zones. Becoming aware that at the core I am the non-moving witnessing consciousness. Becoming aware to that. Getting non-identified with the Prakriti. Respecting the Prakriti. Praying to the Prakriti. But realizing your deepest Shiva Tattva. Becoming awakened to that. Becoming aware to that. Correct? Everything around this, because this is so non-verbal stuff that I'm trying to speak about, and I don't have great vocabulary to put all of this play into words, because a lot of this play, whatever it is I'm able to speak, actually I'm just speaking not even half of the reality, maybe just minuscule, a few dotted percentage of the reality, because the magnanimity of the reality is such that it's beyond the reach of the words. And that's the reason when things like these come, one becomes quiet, because only in deep silence you are able to get into this or experience this or attain this. Everything else is just the play of the words. So different people, different schools of spirituality use different words. So Vedanta would use different set of words to explain. No. Vedanta would use different set of words to try and explain this reality. Bhakti tradition will use different words, different vocabulary to try and explain this reality. Yeah, Neem Karoli Baba would use different set of words to try and explain this set of reality. And then Ramana Maharishi would just keep quiet. In the mauna, in the silence, he's again trying to point towards this reality. But words are very poor substitute. So that's the reason in the beginning I said, do not try and look into it intellectually. Right? Just understand the basic, realize these two tattvas. That's what we call duality, because of the Shiva tattva and the Shakti tattva, the Prakriti tattva. That's where the duality came into being. Now the beauty of this is Shiva and Shakti are not two different things. They have played to appear it so. But at the core, it's Ardhanareshwara, where the Shakti gets back into its own source called Shiva, and they become one again. Non-duality, Advaita happens. Everything else are just words to try and bring your focus, your attention to this reality. And we use different words in different schools of spirituality. So do not get identified or stuck with the words or the definitions of the words. Hope it helps. Thank you.
Jasleen Sandhuji from England has asked this question. Her question is, Guruji, I'm 45 years old and feel less mentally sharp than others. People easily sense my innocence. I'm sensitive to positive energies, rarely socialize, and then I meditate on Shivnam. I become tearful. As my twin children are now 14, my heart longs to find a guru and go to an ashram to understand myself better. Why I live from a heart and struggle with the mind's practicality. Please guide.
Something that is a gift, you are questioning it. Something people struggle with and you've received as a gift and you are thinking it's a problem. You're saying you operate from the heart. And why do you operate from the heart? You think it's a problem. It's really a gift. If the whole humanity can learn to operate from the heart, we will have no wars. We will have no human-caused suffering on earth. If only we can learn how to live and operate from the heart. You say your innocence. You say your mind seems less sharp. This innocence is what is needed to enter the doors of the divine. With the sharpness of the mind, you can enter into the Wall Street. But only with the purity and innocence of the heart, you can enter into the doorway of the divine. Choose what you want to do. And I'm not saying sharp mind is not needed. Absolutely needed. To be in the field of world, in the field of work, it's needed. Even to understand some bits of the spiritual understanding, at least the outer covering, mind is needed. But more than the mind, it's the field of the heart. Because, please look at the image of Hanumanaji. When he wants to show where does he keep Shri Ram and Ma Sita, he tears his heart. Opens the heart, opens the chest and shows that for me, my Lord, my Prabhu, my Ishvara, my Isht, my Guru, my divinity stays in my heart. Why does he not tear his head and show that in my mind is my God, is my heart, is my Lord, is my Rama? Heart center. We call it anahata. That's where the innocence is residing. That's where the truth is residing. That's where the reality, that's where Shiva Tattva is residing. At the anahata. Heart center. That is the supreme doorway. Your mind, your third eye, everything has a certain function, very important functions to play. We're not saying that, hand is not important and only leg is important. We're not saying that. Each component has its own function. Mind has its own function. And we all have that mind to We all have the mind to identify multiple doors. But then when we come to the innocence of the heart, we enter into the doorway. The mind will help you identify, differentiate between the wall and the door. That's where mind is needed. Please understand. To comprehend some of these things, mind is needed to identify, differentiate between this is a wall, this is a door. But then the innocence of the heart is the key that will unlock the door. See, you need a key to unlock the door. How will you unlock the door? How will you enter into the door? How will you open the door? The key is innocence of the heart, purity of the heart. That's the key. Once you have that key, the door opens. Thankfully, you have the key. And at this stage of your life, you're saying the heart longs to find a guru and go to an ashram to explore the truth and the reality. It's a blessing. If you get this awakening in life, or this quest or this thirst in life to walk the path of sadhana, to find a guru, to go to some ashram, to understand who you are, what your real purpose on this earth is, why you are here. That's the greatest thing that has come to you. This awakening is coming to you. This thirst, this quest is coming to you to know who you are. And for that, if you need to go to an ashram, go find a guru, go on a pilgrimage, or do whatever it takes, by all means do that. Just use a little bit of your mind, practicalities. Just make sure family is not disturbed. Just take some time off. Start from small steps. Don't just say that, I'm going for 2 years in my sadhana. Don't do that. You've got social responsibilities, family, dharma. Fulfill that parallelly. Take small pauses. Take some small times off. And give fuel to this quest. You will find the ashram. You will find the guru that is waiting for you. Start with small steps. And the initiation has already happened in you. Hope you understand this and hope it helps you. Dhanyavad.